Okay, so welcome to this session. And you can see on the screen that in today's session, we will be discussing about warning letter. And this video is only made to educate, not to target any specific organization or any specific group of companies. So this warning letter is issued to CTK OTC Laboratories LLC, formerly FMK LABS Inc. And you can read the date, that is 19th May 2025. So what are the details of the warning letters? And we will learn out of the details that is been discussed in this video. So here is the first observation, and you can read that your firm failed to thoroughly investigate any unexplained discrepancy or failure of a batch or any of its components to meet any of its specifications, whether or not the batch has already been distributed. And here is the clause according to the 21 CFR, that is 211.192. So 211 talks about the good manufacturing practices requirement for the drug product. So we will also see what is exactly the requirement according to this particular clause. So as you can see over here, 21 CFR 211.192, and this particular clause talks about production record review. So what is the requirement? So all drug product production and control records, including those of packaging and labeling, shall be reviewed and approved by the quality control unit to determine compliance with all established or approved written procedures before a batch is released or distributed. So whatever GMP, what is the manufacturing records, analytical records, testing records, all must be tested by the quality control unit. So quality control unit comprises quality assurance, quality control, and even the regulatory affairs. So any unexplained discrepancy, including a percentage of theoretical yield exceeding the maximum or minimum percentage established in master production and control records. So this is the expected records which needs to be evaluated, or the failure of a batch or any of its component to meet any of its specification shall be thoroughly investigated. Especially they're talking about the out of specification result or the OS result. Let us come back to the observation now and understand what is the exact details. So your firm failed to conduct adequate investigation into out of specification or OS results. For example, an OS for bulk based batch documented low potency for one of the active pharmaceutical ingredient. So in the bulk, the potency of one active ingredient is found to be out of the spec. So it looks to be a multi-component drug product. So the corrective action was to remix the batch on November 15, 2024 to make it more uniform. So they thought that the non-uniformity is the reason for the one component being failing for the, let us say, potency or the assay. So to make it uniform, they have remixed the batch. Again, the blending might have done, mixing might have done. And upon this mixing, the retesting is conducted for the same batch. And still, the retesting after mixing concluded that the still batch remains subpotent, means below the average, below the specification for the potency requirement. So it is probably assay of that particular component has not got increased. You then adjusted the potency by adding additional API and remixing the batch. Now, this is something very serious. So, what they have done, they have added the API or drug substance for which the assay was found to be on the lower side. And then the batch is again remixed. So, the batch was again retested and the potency assay was found within specification. So this is like a reprocessing the batch. But in this case, they have added additional amount of API. Now this indicates what about the dispensing record of the initial? I mean, they must have dispensed the API required according to the batch size. So where this API has gone, what is the necessity to add the additional APIs? Now this is unanswered questions. But when they added this API additionally, now they found the potency within the specification. However, the root cause of the low potency was not determined. Now, this is a very serious. If there is no root cause identified, what is the rationale behind adding the additional amount of API? If they say, okay, the initial dispensing quantity was low, it is not as per our batch manufacturing record, and so we have added the additional amount. In that case, it makes sense. But if the root cause is not identified, was not determined, just adding additional API doesn't make any sense. Moreover, the bulk-based batch had a subsequent OS result for high viscosity. Now here is another failure of the same batch, and that is about not the potency, but now it is about the high viscosity. This looks to be a cream semi-solid. So you failed to investigate the viscosity OS, and the bulk-based batch was released and further used to manufacture finished drug batches. So OS for viscosity was not investigated. And then this bulk batch was further used for finished drug manufacturing. Now, of the finished drug batches were tested during stability and again were determined to fail with high viscosity, and this failure was not investigated. So this batch was loaded on the stability, and again, as like initial OS result for viscosity, the stability batches also shown the out of specification result for the viscosity, especially found to be on higher side. Then you did not thoroughly investigate these unexplained discrepancies or identify failures in drug product to meet any of its specifications. So this OS failure was not investigated thoroughly. This is the observation. And when an investigation was performed, it was inadequate as you failed to identify the root cause or root causes, implement appropriate corrective actions and preventive actions, and expand the investigation to evaluate the impact on other batches or product. So what FDA says that, right, you have conducted the investigation, but this investigation was inadequate. Why inadequate? Because you failed to identify the root causes. Root causes was not identified. And as there is no root cause identified, there is no possibility to implement the right corrective action and preventive action because your kappa is always connected with the root cause. And also, organization is not investigated the impact on other batches or products with the similar processes. Now, this is a very important learning for all of us that whenever there is OS failure or any kind of non-conformity, we must have the investigation or impact assessment on the earlier manufactured batches or the similar type of the product that you are manufacturing in the same facility. Now, in your response, you commit to improve your investigation process. So they said, okay, we'll improve our investigation processes. Your response is inadequate. You did not propose to perform any retrospective impact assessment of a previously distributed drug product. That means the FDA is expecting to conduct the retrospective impact. Retrospective impact means what? You review the old released batch data and understand, is there an impact from those batches onto the patient? That is a retrospective impact assessment. So the companies has not conducted the retrospective impact assessment of the previously distributed batches. As a manufacturer, you have a responsibility to fully investigate unexplained discrepancies and failures to assess impact to product quality. Now, this is the primary responsibility of a manufacturer, to investigate the any kind of unexplained discrepancies or non-conformities. Again, for more information about handling of OS or OOT, now this report has provided the guideline. Even they have provided the website link, so that manufacturer can visit the link and understand what is exactly expected by the FDA. In response to this letter, please provide. So FDA is requesting below information now. So what is the information requested by FDA? First, a comprehensive independent assessment of your overall system for investigating deviations, discrepancies, complaints, OS results, and failures. Again, provide a detailed action plan to remediate this system. Your action plan should include, but not be limited to, significant improvements in investigation competencies, scope determination, root cause evaluation, CAPA effectiveness, your quality unit oversight, and written procedures. Address how your firm will ensure all phases of investigations are appropriately conducted. Now, this is a huge expectation. So FDA sees that your company do not have the good quality management system, be it investigation, be it CAPA, be it deviations or OI. So they need a solid remediations plan to improve their quality management systems. A comprehensive review and remediation plan for your OS result investigation systems. So how you investigate the OS? The CAPA should include, but not be limited to, addressing the following: quality unit oversight of laboratory investigation, identification of adverse lab control trends, resolution of causes of lab variations, initiation of thorough investigations of potential manufacturing causes whenever a laboratory cause cannot be conclusively identified, adequately scoping of each investigation and its CAPA, revise OS investigation procedures with this and other remediations. So I think the addition of extra amount of drug substance to increase the potency or to make the subpotent drug suitably potent is something questioned by the FDA. And there is a huge amount of investigation expected, as you can see over here. So let me know what is your learning out of this warning letter. We have just discussed our first observation, and in following video, I will walk you through the next observation also. Thank you so much. Keep watching and keep learning.